Hey, Danny, he said coming into this draft that it probably wasn't going to be ideal to add three rookies. You added two. Um, can you walk us through what you were trying to do and how you landed on these guys?
We were just trying to take the best players available, and we felt like we got two really good players, great people, mature kids, and Aaron is a terrific shooter and great size, and felt like he was the best guy that we could get right there. And Peyton is a fun player and 4-year college player, can step right in and play in the NBA, in my opinion. And another terrific shooter, ball handler, and it's a fun group. But yeah, we really didn't want to add four rookies with our 4 draft picks. I think 2 is about the right number.
Ryan, Rob.
Hey, Danny. I don't think there were any trades at all for the first 15 picks of this draft. Can you just compare what the trade market was like compared to just past drafts in general, and how that kind of went over the course of the night for you guys?
There was a lot of trade discussion before the draft, so I think we anticipated there to be more during the draft. But there was a lot of discussion, but not anything that was really tempting for us in the first part of the draft. It was not as eventful as we thought, but we did have some discussions about moving up and then about moving back. But as we were watching the draft unfold, and we saw that one of the guys that we had identified as a player that was a player we liked and wanted, we just hung in there, and we're fortunate we got our guy.
Jared Weiss.
You have a long track record of drafting players that weren't knockdown deep shooters in college and developing them into much better shooters. So what does it feel like to draft somebody who shot over 50% from deep in college?
Well, I mean, listen, shooting is big, as we saw in the playoffs this year and throughout the season. You got to be able to make shots, and our guys have become better shooters as they get into the NBA, and that's generally a rule. It doesn't always work out that way. But we got 2 good shooters that we added, and that's a great feeling.
Other questions? All right, Gary Washburn. Go ahead, Gary. All right, we'll go back to him. We'll go to Tom Westerholm.
Hey, Danny. Peyton mentioned that he was kind of surprised that he hadn't necessarily had a ton of contacts with you guys before the draft. So it was just what did you know about him kind of going in, and what made you confident about that pick specifically?
Well, I've watched a lot of Peyton over the years. Maybe it's the Oregon ties. I just found myself out on the West Coast in the Pac-12 tournament the last few years, and other times out in Eugene. But Peyton is just a guy that I've been attracted to the way he plays. He brings a great intensity, even as a freshman, and watching his development into his senior year where he had to carry much more of an offensive load. But he's a guy I think that can play in any system. He can play with any players. I love how he pushes pace. He'll make the other guys run. He's playing with the ball in his hands. He gets the ball up the court very quickly. And I think that'll be a help to get the rest of the players up the court very quickly. He has that kind of leadership ability with the ball in his hands. And he's a fun player, and very excited to get him. But yeah, we didn't have a lot of contact with anybody. As you know, we have 4 draft picks, but we could only see 4 or 10 workouts. And so we spent those on guys that we hadn't seen as much of throughout their college careers. And so we did see Aaron, but we did not see Peyton.
All right, we'll go back to Gary Washburn.
Hey, Danny, do you feel like you got kind of what you needed and accomplished what you wanted tonight, even though in such a kind of an unpredictable draft? I mean, were you caught off guard by some of the early picks, and how did that change your kind of approach when you're seeing, let's say, Williams go 4, Okoro go 5, and it just seemed like some guys were going in places they weren't projected.
Nice suit you have on there, Gary, by the way. I think those really weren't that much of a surprise. I think that, there's groupings and different tiers is the way I look at the draft, and instead of just, number by number, but I wasn't really caught off guard too much by the order of the draft. And I don't really pay that much attention to the mock drafts. So there really wasn't that many surprises.
Amanda Pflugrad.
Hey, Danny, like the Oregon shout out there. We touched on this a little bit earlier today, but with the young rookies coming in, they're not going to get the opportunity to go through summer league and kind of have to hit the ground running straight into training camp. How do you help prepare them for that? And what do you anticipate that to look like?
We have to fast track it, obviously, with no summer league and not just summer league, but usually we have part of August and all of September to prepare them for our system, our defensive schemes. So it's a different world that we're in right now, and it's a different time for the NBA, and every team is in the same boat. So we just have to be better than others at getting our young players ready to play.
Adam Himmelsbach.
Danny, I'm not sure how to pronounce his name. Is it Yam or Yam? Can you kind of talk us through that?
Nadar.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a player that we've watched over in Israel play quite a bit. And we'll just see how it works out. Like, I don't really know. The plan will probably be to keep him overseas for at least another year and evaluate from there. But we're anxious to watch his growth and development as a player.
And then what went into kind of the agreement with Gordon to push back his deadline to Thursday, and just kind of where do you feel like things are with that?
Yeah, I don't know about that. We'll start working on free agency and all that tomorrow. But tonight we're just here with the draft, first phase. Big free agency time though. There's a lot to get done still, and in a very short period of time, and we have a lot to prepare for in free agency.
Keith Smith.
Hey, Danny, with the trade of 30 to Memphis, was the goal there to add some future draft assets, considering for the first time in what feels like a decade, you only had your own first round picks moving forward?
Oh, that didn't really have much to do with that. It was more, like I said from the beginning, we didn't really want to bring more than 2 rookies in this year, and we got 2 guys that we're very happy about with the first 2 picks. So I think that that I can't really discuss much about any trades just because they're not completed. There's been discussions of trades, but nothing's been finalized, and we'll see how that all goes over the next few days.
Bob Schron.
Hey, Danny, how are you?
Good, Bobby. How you doing?
Good. Glad to see you. Danny, Gary already asked you, but I did want to follow up on it about the order of the draft. As it progressed toward your choice, did you maybe think about making a move? Did anyone slide that you might have had a second or third thought about making last-minute phone calls?
We were happy with where we were. I mean, there was our guy was there at 14, and we were worried about that he might not be there at 14. There were some guys obviously early in the draft that, I would have loved to have seen slide, but we're very excited about Aaron. I mean, we need shooting, and he's a long wing shooter that can stretch the floor, and like someone said already, he can shoot right now. We don't have to teach him to shoot. He can come in the gym and outshoot most of our guys right this second. I'm guessing Jason Tatum will have a little dispute with that, but I think that he's a guy that we had our eyes on and projected that he would be available at 14, although we knew it would be tight.
Final two questions for Danny. Brian, Rob.
Hey, Danny, heading into free agency, does anything, how things went tonight impact what you guys want to do heading into the next few days, and just in terms of the team roster?
I don't know, but I mean, it's, now it's phase 2, so we'll fill in the rest of the roster and try to get some veteran players.
Final question, Gary Washburn.
Hey, Danny, any update on Romeo, how much he'll miss, and was kind of undetermined how much he'll miss before the season was kind of determined. How much do you think he'll miss now? And are you concerned that your younger guys, your Roberts, your Carsons, will not have a lot of time to improve because there's really no off season and they're just trying to get some rest after last season?
Gary, those are things that you really can't worry about. I mean, we're just, like I said, we're in the same boat as everybody. It's a difficult time for the whole world. And the NBA is no different. And we're just working through these difficult situations as the best we can. And with Romy, I'm not sure. He's been in the gym working every day. He's working very hard. He still has a cast on. So that tells you he's not ready. He's not going to be ready when we start training camp, but I don't have a time frame for him yet.